We are live. Hello. All right. Hi, this is the Warren Astronomical Society. Welcome. We are live at Macomb Community College. I am your president, Bob Tremblay. So do we have any first-time attendees? We have a returning attendee who's actually an old member who's here. So that's cool. All right. So if you'd like to renew your membership, well, you can do it online via PayPal because David Bransky is via Zoom, so he's not going to be doing actually. Let's get this Zoom session over here so you guys can see it. There we go. Okay, so as a tradition, we like to do a roll call, go through the audience, say who's here. So I'm Bob Tremblay, your president. Hi. Uh, Ken, we'll start with you. President. Thank you, Mary.
You know why the grass I keep coming back?
Charles Secretary. Burnett.
I don't know we're doing this anymore. Definitely put out outreach.
Montberta.
Jeff Hollow. Gary Dietz.
Right. Thanks, guys. All right. And we have like 5 people online here. Maybe who we've got on YouTube, Dale?
So far, nobody's watching.
Oh, really? All right. So, Wasp Wearables, Mark Kidd's here. It's surprising he's not here, but if you want wearables, you can take a look at our newsletter. We've got shirts and a whole bunch of stuff. Astronomy at the Beach this year is going to be held at Mayberry State Park, west of Northville. Island Lake State Park is under construction. This is temporary. We're going to be going back next year. Island Lake State Park is sending a lot of resources over to this place. So we had a GLAC meeting on Monday. GLAC meetings is the Great Lakes Association of Astronomy Clubs. They're the ones that puts on astronomy at the beach. Yes?
What is astronomy at the beach?
Astronomy at the Beach is September 20th and 21st. Usually always the third weekend-ish in September. Okay, so GLAC meetings are every second Monday of the month. If you're interested in helping put on astronomy at the beach, you can attend via Zoom. Beaver Island is now certified as Michigan's first international dark sky sanctuary. So I've tried to contact them 3 different ways about wanting to talk about doing something with them, but I've not gotten a response from anybody yet. So if anybody knows anybody that works in Beaver Island, let me know. Uh, there's still no status. I have not seen any status on memorial service for Marty Kuntz, so I will keep you updated on that. Um, Officers reports. All right. Because my 4-year-old granddaughter has been staying with us so often, I've seen quite a few children's programs on Netflix and Disney Plus. There are some pretty awful ones, some ones that make me scratch my head, but there was one a couple days ago that impressed the heck out of me. It's called Storybots. It's a gaggle of silly little shaped robots that gets asked questions by young kids, and the robots go about finding the answers. And the one that really impressed me is the one that described the solar nebular theory and the formation of the solar system. I was like, wow, that was really good. And then it was on again this morning when she was watching it, and they had a couple big name stars. So that's pretty interesting. Again, it's called Storybots. And there's a whole bunch of episodes on YouTube. You can find it on Google. So, Dale, you want to say anything? This is Dale Parton, our first vice president.
Just to say, I'm pleading as usual for speakers. Um, if you have any ideas for something you'd like to talk about, catch me during the break. We're booked up to early October with speakers, so you'd have plenty of time to work on putting it together. Let me know if you have some. Thank you.
And we highly encourage you to make presentations about yourself, because about things that you're interested in. If there's a space mission you're interested in, a nebula you think is pretty, anything, just make a presentation about it. We love it. So let's see. Riyadh is not online, but we're having our next open house will be the 4th Saturday, which is next weekend.
Yeah.
Yes. David, treasurer.
Okay, so in the WAS account, we have $25,399.43. Our credit card is paid off, so we've got no balance there. PayPal, we've got $1,128.81. So we have plenty of cash to do whatever project we want to do. We got funds.
Cool. And speaking of that, one of the things that Riyadh was looking into was I've got the specs on the repairs needed to the motor at Stargate and at the GLAC meeting. I slapped my head and said, "Hey, I should ask you guys." And John Wallbank had me send him the information. So
Mhm.
I'm also asking some GLAC members about if they can help us with that.
Great.
Charlie, secretary.
Oh, yeah, I'm the secretary. I don't have much to report right now, other than, see the newsletter that comes out
Great.
first of the month.
All right, Charlie says, check our newsletter. The minutes are in there. Jeff, let's see anything really quick. At the GLAC meeting, they were mentioning this June 8th and 9th thing, and I need to get with you on that because there's going to be some GLAC. Yeah, there's going to be some GLAC representation there. So
Have they talked to Selfridge?
I don't know.
Not my monkeys, not
Yep.
my circus.
I'm trying to figure out with you what we're going to do exactly.
Okay, yeah, you're running a tape.
Okay.
You're not allowed to leave. Okay. All right. So I got a little outreach report here. It's in the WAS if you want to read in detail. But we had a lot of stuff going on in April. Some of you might remember the moon briefly passed in front of the sun. Some people made note of it. Kind of noteworthy, right? Bob Tremblay was down in Dayton. Some people were at Cranbrook. Little Ken's not here. Mark Kedzier did some library stuff. I did something at some point. Oh, we were down at Belle Isle on the 12th for statewide astronomy night.
I didn't even know you guys are outside. I was inside at a
Table.
We didn't know you were in there.
I was like, is someone inside? Yeah, okay, good. Bob made it. Riyadh had scouts at Stargate. I think I joined him for that. And then so the big one upcoming is this Selfridge Open House Air Show on June 8th and 9th. It's free to attend. The times. What are the times? It's pretty much an all-day affair. So yeah, free to get in. There's gonna be a bunch of stuff going on.
We'll probably have something in the newsletter instead of mail.
We're part of the STEM part of the open house, which is kind of a offshoot of the air show. So if you want to help us out, please let me or Bob know. I'm sure he would appreciate.
Yeah, if you want to come sit at the table and chat people up, yeah.
And I'm gonna start asking for help with astronomy at the beach. I need telescope operators. If we want to get the big Dob out there, we have a driver. Marty Coons fixed up our trailer a few months ago, so that should be working. The only problem is your previous observatory chair, in his infinite wisdom, put a bunch of telescopes in the Dob trailer, so it can't transport the Dob right now. So we need to offload some of those telescopes. So if you're looking at like buying an LX 200-ish, something like that, let me know. I got one. But yeah, if you'd like to help with astronomy at the beach, we also need people running tables, running telescopes. We need a lot of help. That's it.
Thanks, Jeff. All right. Let's see.
Oh, one more thing. I'm giving a movie talk to Wayne State next Thursday. Their Science Under the Dome series.
Oh,
So if you,
really?
you know,
I need to talk with them. I need to start doing some more presentations. All right. So, publications that Shelley is not able. Our newsletter is up. There's Dale. He does our newsletter. Wave Dale. Hi, Dale. Our newsletter won an award from the Astronomical League. What was that? 2 years ago now? Something like that. So
I think it was
if you
2019.
want to nominate our newsletter again, that can be done. So if you need to contact the WASP board, you can at board@warrenastro.org. So in the astronomy in the news, one of the things that I'm doing is exoplanet stuff. We are up 14 confirmed exoplanets from we are 5626 and 7147.9 from Cranbrook. So that's a lot of exoplanets. The hunt for observable signatures of terrestrial planetary system hosts survey for exozodiacal dust concluded that the majority of sun-like stars have a relatively low habitable zone dust levels. Just if you're interested in, they're looking for zodiacal dust in other star systems now. That's crazy.
What does that mean?
I will get with you after the break on that because there was about that much more I did not copy. They're talking a lot about that.
Little green bit.
So, David Levy is not here. So,
Yes, he is.
solar images. The sun has been very angry right now. Let's share the let's share this.
Yeah, he is here. David is here.
Where's my Zoom session? Back down here. Move you guys over here. I said move you guys over here. Share screen. I'm gonna share that. There we go. Okay, so these are images from the Solar Dynamics Observatory. This is a space telescope that's constantly looking at the sun, and the animation is a 48-hour video of one frequency of the corona, and you're seeing a lot of coronal loops, and there's a flare right there. The other image is the photosphere, and you can see something very large rotating in on the left side there. So that's coming into view, and the big monster that caused all the stuff on Friday is rotated out of view, but that's the one that let that giant flare out. And they actually imaged that sunspot from the Perseverance rover on Mars. Yeah. I'll look for it. I don't know where that is yet. You got something for me? All right, stop that share. Back to that. Yeah, so on May 14th, spaceweather.com reported and all in red, strongest solar flare of the current cycle. There was an X 8.7 category blast from beyond the sun's western limb. And that's huge. And today, spaceweather.com, if you go there right now, they've got a 500-year history of aurora seen below like 30 degrees. And this latest storm that we had, it tops in one of the top 20. Oh, yeah. Okay. So let's see. Get this. See that? I don't know if you can. Oh, okay. Hold on. Get this thing up here. Okay, so this is Ken's phone here, but that's the limb of the sun, and that is the giant monster sunspot that caused all the excitement just recently.
Hey, Bob,
Yes,
David Levy's here.
he is.
Yep.
Hi, David. Do you want to? Hi. Perfect timing. Hi.
Yeah, I am here. Thank you.
You want to go ahead and give your poem or whatever it is you'd like to share?
I will be happy to do that, but first I
You got
wanted to
aurora
say that
pictures?
regarding your sunspot, I have seen aurora here from southern Arizona on 4 nights, and including the night before last. And just as a faint aurora glow, no rays or anything, but just wanted to let you know that I've seen it all the way down here. For my poem tonight, I'm going to use Walter Savage Landor, The Evening Star, written sometime during his lifetime between 1775 and 1864. Smiles soon abate, the boisterous throes of anger long burst forth. and constantly the short-lived blows, but steadily the south wind blows, but steadily the north. Thy star, O Venus, listen, listen to changes. It's so radiant, seat above. The chilling pole star never ranges, tis thus with hate and love. That's from Walter Savage Lander. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you, David. Okay, is Riyadh online? Let's see if he's back together.
No.
No, he's not here. All right, so uh okay, do we have any astronomy questions? Or if not, no. All right, observing reports. All right, I got pictures. What? Yeah, okay. First thing I've got is something on Instagram here in the chat. So I will bring that up and I will share this if I can. Where's my Zoom? Screen 2, there we go. So you should see a picture of a whole bunch of crescents from the leaves. There were no leaves on the tree when I was down there. I couldn't do that, and I neglected to bring a colander, which does that really cool.
Yeah, I've got a picture in there. It's got a real good one. So,
You do?
yeah, it's on there. Well, later on, I'll show it to you.
All right.
It's on there.
So let's close that down, and let's see. I've got Bob Berta's picture on the desktop here, so let's bring these up. Just leave that screen shared. There's one by Bob.
Pardon? You want what you wanted to call you one?
Sure.
Oh, okay, that's on the yes, I can get that.
So you want to comment on this one, or this is where did you see this? This was Clinton Township.
No, no,
Yes.
this is in Macomb Township.
This is in Macomb Township.
Go to the page.
So that's pretty close to where I live.
That was taken with a cell phone.
I went out 4 times and I saw a slight red glow. I didn't see any of this. I'm like, ah.
It's another picture there.
Yeah.
So,
See, it's a tall one. There we go. Ah, that is just spectacular.
10 o'clock, yeah, let me see.
I went out,
Yeah.
I said 4 times, different times, and nothing. Just
I can show you this one too.
sure, bring it up. Ken's got something on his phone here. All right.
It was really very, very nice.
Lots of wow.
Nice.
Because I went inside and all I saw was this little off the thing. I never used a cell phone to do that. And Bob says, just take the cell phone out. And I went out and I went, whoa.
That is just wrong.
Got some decent ones from up in the thumb. Pretty dark.
I did not know to use the cell phone.
Um,
I know now.
I started on the warrant after all these on Facebook.
Hmm? Oh yeah. Oh, okay. I think I'm bringing that up.
So it's pretty dark area.
Just paint colors on your phone. So it happens to be traveling up north that day.
Who am I going to be logging on as? Oh,
Believe it when I see it. And then we got just doused. I mean, it was raining. If we didn't know better, we would have had to
Do
bring
that.
someone to the dots. I mean, my buddy, my phone would pick it up. I must have an older one or something, but my buddy really can move another one here.
where are they?
Yeah, he had really scraping,
Is that the right one?
curtains and all kinds of stuff. For about an hour or two.
Well, I'm going to have to log on and show pictures later, Dale. I don't know who's logging on Yes, yes, that we're doing that right now. You want to come up and talk about it? Come on up and talk about it. Observing report.
So I have this very, very dear friend who is a dentist. His name is David Banta. If anybody wants a good dentist, this guy's really good. But he has a best friend who is a pilot who owns three planes. He owns a 9-seat jet, a 15-seat jet, and a turboprop that holds 30. So what we wanted to do is to fill up at least one of them. And what we did is I got a hold of him. Now, this guy had done the same thing in 2017 where he flew along the path and found an airport and landed at the airport, took stuff out on the tarmac, and everybody got a chance to see it. Our group, they're trying to decide where they want to go. So I've seen 13 eclipses. Some of you know that. But anyway, I've seen 13 eclipses, and I'm pretty good at predicting the weather because of where I've gone in the world. And we had a choice to either go to Maine, where the totality was about 3.5 minutes, or go to Arkansas or Texas or somewhere along the way where the farther you were south into the to Mazatlan, I guess is where it is in Mexico, you go from about 4:30 to just a little less as you go up north. We saw 4 minutes and 5 seconds of totality. So we got off the plane. We had 9 of us plus the 2 pilots, 11 people. Bob and Brian, we went to the 17 together and we went on this trip together. We paid for the fuel. One of the things was most of you know that most of you know that my wife was very ill and I couldn't get away for more than a day. Usually I'll go somewhere in the world to see an eclipse, but this was a 1-day trip and it probably cost the same as the 2-week trip that I'd taken before. But anyway, we got on the plane. We took an hour and a half to get to Batesville, Arkansas, just right along the path. And it was going to be clear. We knew it. And we landed, took our stuff out onto the tarmac. Bob took his telescope with his cameras and everything like that, which was fabulous. And I learned through the years that if I know people like Bob and Espedak and some other people that are good photographers, I'm going to just watch the eclipse going on. So what I did, we got out there. Now, only Bob and Brian had ever been to an eclipse, and me, and the rest of the people had never seen an eclipse before. I took a couple of classmates from my high school, and we had a whole bunch of people from. And the amazing thing about it is how little people know about astronomy. And I spoke from the time the plane took off until it landed, telling them about space. All right. And from the time that the plane took off and came back, pretty much did the same thing. And while I was there, I was explaining what you're about to see. Well, we landed, it was a little overcast when we landed, but by noon, it was crystal. It was from horizon to the horizon. It was spectacular how the skies looked. And we got there, took the thing out, and then right overhead there, the moon hits the sun and goes for 4 minutes. And people are just like that. You know, the first question people ask when you see a solar eclipse is when's the next one? You know, that's what happens when you see it. Now, how many of you have actually seen eclipses? Any total solar eclipses? Dynamite. Any of you seen more than 2? All right. Anyway, but anyway, the story goes that we had a wonderful time. It was great. We were there, and we got back at 6:30. During the eclipse, there were a couple things that occurred. We had a comet that came by that was very close to the sun, and we told people about it, and we said, but when the eclipse goes, watch the sun. Don't worry about the comet. That's pretty much what we said to them, and that's how it worked. It was a terrific trip. We had a lot of fun, and it was worth every minute of it. What? No, I am going to Spain in 26. Spain is going to be just nice, and it's at yeah. You could go to Iceland if you want, but it'll be August. What's that?
Isn't it towards the end?
Yeah, that would be later on in the eclipse, but I think it's still pretty much afternoon there. Okay, I'm not real sure though, but we'll know. But it's this particular eclipse was like 4.5 minutes, and the longest it can be is 7.5 minutes, and the last in the Saros one, what is it? It's 1:39. Anyway, the series, any of you know about Ceros? You know what we're talking about? For those that don't know about it, Ceros is every eclipse occurs 18 years, 10 days later, 1/3 around the Earth. I saw that this was Ceros 139, and I saw the last one for 39 in Libya. Believe it or not, that was it. Yeah, it was before what's the name got knocked out of office, but it was we went out to the desert, and this is the same pathway. When you take a look at it, it looks the same way. It's 1/3 around the Earth. So that was it. And then of course, Saros, I can't remember which one. The long one, it was 6 minutes and 55 seconds in 1991. And then the next one of the same Saros was in China in 2008. I saw that one too. And that one was no, 19, 20, 18 years, 10 days later, was in China. And that was 6 minutes and 5 seconds. So that was pretty cool. But of all the eclipses I saw, this one was definitely in the top three. You know, it was spectacular. I'm talking about when it ended. They talk about a sunset all the way around you. It was stunning how it looked. The sun was straight up, you know, and it was really something.
I think my first word, oh my God, look at that prominence.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. And again, if you see the pictures of those prominences, the prominence on the bottom of the one that's like a little V shape, that one is twice the size of Jupiter. Okay, to give you an idea, the Earth is a tenth what the size in diameter of Jupiter. So it's just you could put 5 or 6 of them in there. I guess it's 3 or 4, whatever. It's immensely interesting. There you go. Any questions? Go ahead.
A silver upcoming talk, Bill, will be speaking next month on that and the fire eclipse.
Yeah.
So, if it's got your interest, be here. My favorite.
If you have, if whoever you know who has not seen an eclipse, you got to do it once in your life. You all know that have seen one. You can't. There's no sight. Understand this is the thing, real quick, and I'll be done. Your eye sees the entire range of the spectrum. We can see everything. We can see the corona and the prominences and the chromosphere. You can see everything with your naked eye. Okay, even the length of the corona and everything like that, you can see with your eye. A camera can't do that. So you can look at all the pictures you want to look at the eclipse. You're either going to get the prominence or you're going to get the corona. Now, there are people that layer pictures and do a pretty good job, but it's not like seeing it. There's nothing like it. And that's what you got to explain to them. If you haven't seen, well, I saw 99%. I said, no, that's not going to do it. All right. And there's one other thing you always tell people. There's one thing you have to tell the people, and there's a lot of people that didn't do this in both of these cases. Take off the sun. When it gets cold, because it's going to disappear if you've still got those silly glasses on there. All right. But you do not look at the sun ever without protection, the surface of the sun, because every point on the surface of the sun is as bright as the entire sun. So you can burn a hole in your retina. But when that totality comes, take them off and sit down and watch it. Don't use your camera. It's a waste of time, and you're not going to see what you're going to see with your naked eye. That's my pitch. Okay.
Yeah, I took every astronomer that's given a presentation about eclipses that I have ever seen has said if it's your first time, don't look at your camera, and that is what I did. Now I want to use my camera, and I'm going to have to wait 20 years or fly to another country or go to another country. Right. Oh well. Yeah, hey, yeah. Wow, could you imagine what some of these guys doing space tourism when the eclipse happens? Wow.
You can block the sun with your thumb and see the eclipse. You don't need to be at the eclipse, you just put your thumb on. If you do this a little bit.
Talking about the advantages and disadvantages of viewing the eclipse from space. All right, so it is 7:30. Why don't we take a 20-minute munchie break, bio break, and let's reconvene at 10 to 8 for our feature presentation. So go get a drink, go take a bio break, go get a munchie, and see you back in 20 minutes. You got a 4-minute warning. Get your last drink, take a bio break, and we reconvene in a couple minutes. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. It is 7:50. We are live here at the Warren Astronomical Society at Macomb Community College. And we are ready for our feature presentation. I'm going to have our first vice president, Dale Parton, announce our speaker.
Excuse me. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for tonight, Gary Dietz, who will share information about his 2023 summer adventure vacation. Sound like something I want to do, where he and his wife, Lorie, who's also here, worked as assistant ranger astronomy volunteers in various national parks out west. So he's going to talk about that. Just in brief, I'll let him tell his story. His topic, working as a national park astronomy volunteer. Gary? This thing shared here. Yeah, I'm gonna get shared here. Let's see, share screen. That screen. Good. All right, you're good to go. Awesome. Thank you.
Dale and Bob, thank you very much for having me. Very much a pleasure for Lorie and I to be here and to talk with you about our trip this past summer, 2023. It's a little bit about the parks and a little bit about astronomy. Both of these things are passions of ours that we've been doing for many years. Yeah. And this past summer, we had the opportunity to do a combination of these two things, which again are both things that we have enjoyed doing for many years. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about with you today, how we did it and what we saw. And you know, if anybody feels inspired, I'd be more than willing to kind of tell you, talk to you offline or whatever afterwards. And you know, this is more about our trip and how we did it. I guess if there's any questions as we go through, please just type up and let me know. I'd like to try and answer them along the way, and or if you can save them to the end, either way. But I'm glad to try and answer some if you have any.
Trying to get your speaker view up here. Okay. Got all these things. All right, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect. So these are just some of the topics that I thought we'd go through with you today, just to let you know, how we did this. Why be an astronomy volunteer? And what is an astronomy volunteer? How can you do it? And then where have I volunteered? Lorie and I both actually before. And then where did we go this past summer, 2023? Let me just hit the down button. There we go. Cool. So I have to thank her first of all for putting up with me, as well as just enjoying our many trips that we've made together. It just so happens that this year we checked the box on our 44th national park out of the 63 that are currently formal national parks here in the U.S. It's our 44th anniversary this year. But yeah, we share this passion together. I'm probably the nerdier one with the astronomy on the astronomy side, but she loves it too and enjoys going to all these places and doing these things too. So without further ado, so why be an astronomy volunteer? There are a number of different reasons, but I say you're seeing a lot of these beautiful places. Honestly, I think that our national park system are the gems of our country. Really, I think they're the places that no one else. I mean, there are other countries that have them, but no one has embraced it in the same way that we have here. And so I think they're the gems, and that's where I feel home when I'm out in these parks, in the outdoors, enjoying the scenery and the geology, the geography, whatever it is. And the beauty about doing this kind of a trip is that during the day you can go and enjoy the park. You're not working. You're working in the evening, starting probably at 8 o'clock or so. I'll go through some of that with you in just a minute, but working from 8 until maybe 11 or 12. It can be a late night, And then you might even have a little bit of a journey getting back to where your campground or wherever you're going is, back at the park. But that's a plus there in terms of being able to go and enjoy these places. I enjoy giving back too because I've been doing this for so long. I did it as a child when my with my family. We lived out in Colorado at the time, in Denver, and that was really just kind of a launching pad for us to go out and explore all of these beautiful places out west. And so that's kind of where I got my bug for doing this. And then, kind of tried to pass it along, and our children are now doing a lot of the same thing. But so I like giving back. I just recall a lot of the ranger talks and a lot of the things that they do for you when you go to these places, and it's really, I think, quite nice. And so being able to work with these rangers and give back to the public and the people that are coming out there and wanting to enjoy these beautiful areas is really a special thing. It was for both of us. You're going to meet a lot of amazing people, all people from all across the country, people from outside the country. Matter of fact, a lot of the people that we come across are from other countries. Most of them probably in Europe, but I remember a couple of times we were talking with people from South Africa and a number of places. And the beauty is that they're motivated. These people are really motivated to learn. They're in a place where they're trying to explore and learn about maybe the beauty of that park, but at the same time, the learning can continue on in the evening at a lot of these places, and they're equally as motivated to come out and participate. And you'll see that we had a lot of people that came by. You get to work with the rangers. It was just a great thing to be able to do. A lot of times they're talking to you when you go there. That's one of the good things about the parks is that's what their job is to make your visit and everything as good as possible. Well, so we get to work from the inside with them, put together the programs, go out and work with them and out in the park with the attendees and people that are coming. So different perspective, but it was very, very rewarding, I say, to be able to do that. There's a few bennies. One of them is you're going to get free park entrance. I know for us, it's not as meaningful for us anymore because we have the lifetime pass for seniors now. So yeah, but if you don't have that, or if you haven't bought a pass for the year or whatever, you get in free all the different parks as long as you're there and you're working, in the evenings doing the astronomy. You get to come in for free. You also get your campsite, and many times it can even be a cabin. They have small. If you're not as much of the kind of the call it the off the beaten path, with luxuries of home and everything. They do have some of those kinds of things available, but you'll see in a minute when I get into it is that you got to start real early. Those things go fast. Of course, there's a lot of people coming from all over the world that are wanting to come in and a competition for getting some of these better places to stay. But you have a little bit of clout being someone that's going to work there, and they love you. They love people like us to come in and be able to help them make the visit more meaningful for their attendees. So, you know, I would strongly encourage, and you're probably going to hear this a lot during my talk here, that all of them would love to have you there. All the parks would, and you just have to reach out and explore and find out. There are things called astronomers in residence too. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what the different types of roles can be as a volunteer. But one of them, and probably the largest commitment for being a volunteer ranger at the parks, is this in residence. I will say that a lot of times that's probably people that are more advanced in astronomy. It might be people that are doing research, and they'll usually spend the whole summer. They'll spend. They typically won't even accept you as an astronomer in residence. You're not willing to stay for 3 months. That's a long commitment for most of us, even for retired people. But it is the ultimate to be able to be the astronomer in residence for, let's say, the Grand Canyon for the whole summer. You know, just imagine all of the people that you're going to make happy by, showing them the night sky and talking to all of them about the things that you can do. Um, I think I do this. There we go. So the volunteer types, I talked to you a little bit about the astronomer in residence. That's more of a formal role. Uh, and the one you're probably going to need to do the most interviewing and have the most background and resume material and that sort of thing. It's not the one that I did. I was more of the, or we were more of the second one there, where we were volunteer. It was a formal type of volunteer because I did uh, interview and talk to all of them before we went out. And we lined up the exact days and the kinds of things that we would be doing and all of that beforehand. But we were typically only there for 4 or 5 days at a time, and then we'd move on to the next park because we had a fairly big itinerary. You'll see in just a few minutes. And the last one uh, is more of just a drop in, and we've both done that in the past too. And that's a lot of fun too. And a lot of the parks, when you get there, even for like Sleeping Bear or uh, some of those places, if you get there early enough in the day, or you call them, the same day and say, "Hey, I've got my telescope. I'm from the Warren Astronomy Society, and I'll be out tonight. I'd be glad to try and do something for you up here." They'll embrace it most of the time. They will embrace it most of the time. They're glad to do that because you're just adding another dimension to what people can experience while they're there. Again, they're there mainly during the daytime. So you're there at night, and now again, if it's a clear night, it gives them another opportunity to do something else and have fun. So that would be the third type. And like I said, most of what we did was the second type there. It was formal, but wasn't the 3 month commitment. Some of the considerations that you probably want to have are that you're not going to be an employee of the park. You'll probably have to sign a few risk waivers. I don't think you're going to get eaten by a bear or anything like that, but uh, there will be things like potentially slips and falls or people that get hurt or your telescope being damaged or something that potentially could happen. And you'll need to, kind of sign a few things to make them, not responsible for a lot of that. Get comfortable speaking with groups. I would suspect probably almost everybody here has been part of outreach events for multiple occasions and even clubs. I know that I see a few faces here that I'm quite familiar with, and so that kind of experience is the kind that they're looking for. Somebody that can come out and share their knowledge of the night sky and make it meaningful to them, make it really, come to life. There's used to looking a bunch of dots up there. We all know that from a lot of the crowds that we see, and we make some sense out of it, and provide some color and some mythology or whatever that you can do around that, and that makes it more meaningful. But those would be the kinds of things that you'd want to consider, before going out. So some typical duties, if you're trying to think of, well, what are they going to need or what are they going to ask us for? What kind of qualifications will we want to have? Some of them are pretty basic. Yeah, you want to set up and be able to operate and break down in your own telescope. You want to, assist guests with viewing, interpret the night sky, answer some of their questions, and you may be required in some cases to do some of the program development. A lot of times, maybe not. You're just going to show up, and people are going to walk up to your telescope, and you're going to have a couple objects over the course of the evening that you might be telling them about. Others, and we did a combination of both of those. Some of the places that we went were a little more organized than others, and some we ran the whole program. Yosemite, we ran the whole program there for 5 days, and so we developed it. We kind of looked at did our research. What's going to be up tonight? What are we going to be able to see? And we developed the program for that night. And in addition to a little bit of an upfront talk, not much, but we usually had a little bit of a talk, kind of a lot of times at dusk when, when the stars are just starting to pop, maybe you'll pull your laser out and walk people around the sky and some of the constellations before it gets dark enough to look at the deep sky stuff. But so these kinds of things, again, own your own telescope, strong background in astronomy, familiar with night sky objects, familiar with common astronomical events. Are there meteor showers coming up, or is there a comet going by, or what's happening? Comfortable with working with a team. This could be the rangers. It could be other astronomers that might also be there at the time that you're there. It could be a big astronomy festival. One of the first ones I'll talk to you about here is the one at Bryce, and that's quite a large festival. Uh, Able to take guidance and feedback, and are comfortable with again, being in front of groups and public speaking. And just, your passion for astronomy, I think is really what they're looking for more than anything. And again, they'll love to have you. I would say even the state parks in Michigan, the county parks, they're all wanting to have people come out and do this sort of thing. It's just a matter of many times of just reaching out, saying, "Hey, would you be interested in having somebody come over and talk to people about the stars or the night sky?" So a typical day for us at a lot of these different venues, it's not the same all the time because, like I said, sometimes you're there more just with your telescope. People are walking up, and you're just helping them to look at things and describing maybe what you're seeing and how far away it is, how big it is, whatever. Other times you're actually creating the program. But so I put a little bit in here. Usually the mornings, what we would do was we'd kind of make sure that we had our act together so that we could, talk with the rangers or the other astronomers that were going to be with us if there were. Some of them, like I said, we owned it, so we had the whole thing. It's really amazing when we were at Yosemite for them to just hand it off to us. We hit it off with them enough when we got there that they said, you create it, you go do it, and we'll just provide the people. So in the morning we're trying to get ready. We're trying to make sure that we know where to go, because a lot of times you were several different venues. Maybe there are different campgrounds, different visitor centers that you might go to over the course of 2 or 3 days or 5 days, and there might be a program at each one of those on the different days. So just some of this during the afternoon, or 10 to 6 more or less, we were out doing our thing. We were hiking, we were biking, we were going around the park, trying to see all the sights there and enjoy it. And again, that's one of the things I think is so nice about this combination of kind of passions, is they're very complementary to each other, so you can do them together. So the evening, we'd try to, they'd like you to be there by 8 or so, and that was usually to just set up your equipment and be ready for the crowds that were going to be probably starting to show up around 8:30, 8:45, and the program starting at around 9 or around dusk. But and early on, you might be doing things like I said, the laser pointer shows, and I always like to do what I call quiz show or Jeopardy with all of the kids or the families, and so I'll have a whole bunch of factoids or whatever, or I'm asking them questions about what we're seeing in the sky, and then we'll throw it out to the crowd and ask them, well, who knows what that is, or how far away is the sun, or and usually you don't get the right answer all the time, but for trying, I would also give them a some kind of a takeaway, and that could be anything like candy, and since I'm also a solar system ambassador, I get a lot of kind of bling and swag from them, and we would typically hand out NASA stickers or that sort of thing, and Lorie was one of my big helpers there. And so it was that's one of the things that we would do during the program, and then usually, like I said, maybe 9 to 11, and some places maybe it even went as far as midnight because of darkness, or it just didn't get dark until really late, right? The later we go in the summer.
Would you sometimes just stay as long as people were interested?
I would do that. Yeah, I would do that. And it usually had a handful.
Did the park shut that down or anything, or they?
Not usually, not usually. I mean, uh, it was pretty much up to you and the people. If there was enough people, and I always told them at the end of the prescribed time, if it was 11 or whatever, I'd say, look, if there's anybody that, there's 10 other objects we could look at right now, point around the sky and aim the telescope at different things. If you want to stick around, I'll be glad to accommodate you. So usually we had a few and a handful of them, and it was these real hard, passionate, the ones that were really motivated and interested in wanting to see some more different things. And that's when it becomes more fun for us too, right? I mean, it motivates you even more to want to stay and to make them happy and to really show them things that maybe they had never seen before.
You mentioned mythology. My hearing for kids, they really love hearing a story.
Yeah, yeah,
Like you're
absolutely. And I think it's even because we have so much cultural diversity in our country. I always like to bring out the fact that every culture has their own mythology, has their own images of what they saw in the sky. And even our Native American Indians, and they had their own. And so to be able to talk it, and show them in some cases pictures or whatever, if you have stellarium, or, some of those you can show them different cultural mythology with regard to the stars. But it just brings it to life a little bit more, and it lets them know that the Greek and our depiction of what's up in the sky is not the only one. Some of us we think it is, but it isn't. And so that's I think an interesting part of it. So the more you can talk about that kind of stuff and talk about maybe the Cassiopeia and some of the how they you know sacrifice their daughter, but it's really it jumps off out a little bit more and makes it more meaningful for them. Can't emphasize enough, start early. Lorie, when did we start? And I have to give her credit. It was probably my idea, but she did all the planning. And so months in advance, right? Yeah. You might not have to go quite that far, but I would say, 3 to 6 months minimum. Yeah. You want it, that's right. They're putting their plans together and they're looking for, especially that astronomer in residence. If that's something that you'd be of interest, get on that one a year in advance because they're already, they're talking to people at universities and observatories and research scientists to come in and play that role or do that role for them. And that's probably the one that would be the hardest one to get into. But either way in advance so that you can, in some cases, have a campsite. I mean, you might, if you call too late, they won't even have that. Worst case is they can usually put you up, let's just stay in a parking lot. If you have an RV or something like that, you can stay in a parking lot, or they might put you on some government land where there's no development and you're kind of off on your own. But yeah, start early. And so you want to find the opportunities or the postings. There's a couple websites online. I'll show you examples of both of those in just a second. But this is how we did it. I wouldn't say there's any prescribed or exact way to do this. It's really start investigating, go online, make phone calls, send emails, kind of start figuring out where you want to go and how much time do you have. I know being retired, we have more time. But I understand when you're not and you're still working, maybe you're limited a little bit more to the length of time. If it's a week or a couple of weeks, well, that's why I was saying that one of the types is the drop-in, and the drop-in is you could do that, and if you were just driving up north for the weekend or for the day even, and call them ahead of time, let them know you're coming, see if they can set something, up for you when you're there, so you'll have a little bit of a crowd or whatever. But so you can scale this a lot of different ways. It's really just about what you want, and so we had 5 weeks of time, and we knew that we wanted to go all the way out to California and back. And so we had a 5 week trip. I'll show you a few details on that in just a second. But yeah, so send out the email, start to make your connections, make some phone calls. I did a Zoom interview with all of the parks that we worked at.
Individually.
Yes, individually. And because each one of them, they don't work collectively, and they're not in any one system. They're all kind of independent. So what I would do is, if you have some thoughts about parks you haven't seen or places that you'd like to go, look at a map. You can find a map with all the national parks on it, and kind of get an idea of, kind of what you'd like to see. Do you want to go to the Grand Canyon? Do you want to go to Yellowstone? Do you want to go to Bryce Canyon, Yosemite, whatever? And figure out the amount of time that you have, and then begin the process of trying to reach out. And sometimes you're going to call them, and they're not going to be the right person. You say, well, okay, look, here's what I'm interested in. We're astronomers. We want to come out. We'd love to volunteer. And who can you connect me with of all the rangers or the conservancy or whatever while you're there that will help me to understand what we could do or how we could help you? So you got to dig a little bit, but start that process early and talk to as many people as you can, interview, and give them a feeling that you know what you're talking about. You'll be a good asset for them while you're out there, and they'll embrace you. They'll completely embrace you. Like I said, this is a big plus for them to have people like ourselves come out and help them. They're, believe it or not, the parks are also having trouble finding people. Yeah, just like everybody else. They had a big turnover during COVID. They had a lot of things that shut down, and I probably had to let a lot of the people go. Well, now we're on the other side of that, and they're short. And to get those people back again, you know how hard that is, because they've all gone on to other jobs or whatever. And so it's a difficult thing, but they're looking for help in this area. Some of them haven't. They might have had a full-time astronomy person before, and that person is gone, or maybe they had people come in on occasion. But it's a very, very ripe area right now to help if you're at all interested.
So what you do, there's not a lot of competition. Like for
Yeah, I would say not a lot. I mean, I would say almost without question, every place I called was interested. And then once they're interested, it comes down to, well, here's when I can use you. Well, here's when I'm available.
Negotiation.
Yes.
Schedule timing thing.
Yes, exactly.
Have someone else is like, well, I got someone for this week, but could you do it this week?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's kind of what you got to do. You got to say, well, I'm trying to plan out this itinerary. I think I have 3 days for your, call it Grand Canyon. And would you be available? Would you have a time slot available for me to come in during that 3 day period and help? And then, well, no, I don't. But if you could come, maybe maybe you can juggle your itinerary, right? But that's what it comes down to. So you're going to have to do a little bit of that kind of stuff. Maybe you'll even have to say, well, okay, I'm going to skip that park. Let's look at a different one. So again, I can help anybody that if you haven't, gone through this before. I'd be glad to talk with you on the phone or sit down with you sometime and help you out and develop an itinerary based on what you think you can do or what your itinerary would be.
Gary?
Yeah.
Sometimes some of these parks, they have not just a few people coming out, they have a large number of customers out there. So not to use just one, you might hire a bunch of them or have a bunch of them.
That's right. Well, you'll see in just a minute that like there was a lot of people. I mean, while we were on our 5 week trip, we probably, I'm guessing 2,000 people. I mean, it was a lot. And so We had some help. It wasn't just the two of us. We would have the most we would have by ourselves was probably 70. And then when we were at the Bryce Canyon Festival, they had 500 people per night for 5 nights.
How many?
There were 20 astronomers.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were one of 20, and the other ones we led the program, and we had about 70 people on our own. So there's passion out there. There's passion for this. I think there's a lot for STEM, for science, for astronomy. There's a lot of passion, a lot of people that would just love to have folks like ourselves come out and help them. There's a couple websites. We don't have to go through any of this in detail, but nps.gov is one of them. They'll have a bunch of things in there on the national parks and where you can find, call it a lead. This is one way to go. There's another website, volunteer.gov. You can go this way or the other way. I think that I preferred was I just kind of thought in the back of my head, where do I want to go? Where do we want to go? And we had an idea of the loop that we wanted to make and the places that we thought were along the way and that we hadn't been to before, because we're always trying to check the box on the next park, seeing if we can get through all 63 of them. So we were doing that, and I would just reach out. I'd go to their website, I'd find either a phone number or an email, and I'd send something out, or I'd call them up and say, hey, this is what I've got in mind, and do you have any interest? And I'd be glad to get on a Zoom with you at some point if you want, but I'll just send you in the meantime some kind of pseudo resume type material, and we'll go from there. And like I said, almost invariably there was a positive response, and they were embracing it. So a couple different places you can go this way, or like I said, the way I preferred was just find the parks and call them, start making contacts. So we've been to a few other places here in Michigan, down in Ohio, volunteered at Sleeping Bear Dunes, Cuyahoga Valley National Park down in Ohio, and the Headlands up near the tip of the mitten. And all of them, in this case, all of these were drop-in. These were kind of, hey, we're there, we're camping, we were up that way, called them up, hey, would you be interested? And yes, okay, come on over tonight. We'll be meeting over at the dune climb in Sleeping Bear Dunes. Boy, that would be a good one, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'm not sure what kind of crowd you'd get there, though. I mean, the skies would be fantastic, wouldn't it? Yeah. I think that's actually one of the few that we haven't been to. We've been to 44 of the 63, but we haven't been to Isle Royale. It's on the bucket list, but we haven't gotten there yet.
So you have to take everything over on the boat.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Could be a little bit more precarious. Yeah, exactly. But obviously, that would be some great dark skies, I think. So, where did we volunteer in 2023? We went to Bryce Canyon, Yosemite, and Lassen Volcanic National Parks. Those are the places where we did what I'm calling formal astronomy ranger volunteer work. Informal, which is more of kind of we were there. We hadn't done as much of the upfront arrangements with them, but we were able to come and help, to a more limited degree. But that was at Redwood, Crater Lake, and Great Basin. And then Dinosaur National Monument was just on the way, and that was just fun. We really didn't do any astronomy there, but it was on the way back, on the loop back from coming back from California. So these were the 7 locations that we did during our trip.
Did you have much out of Great Basin?
Oh, well, see, that one was informal. I'll get to it in a minute. They have one of the best Star Party programs there. Have you been there? Yeah, they have one of the best programs. Okay. That is really one of the things they're known most for. That place is Bortle One skies. That's some of the darkest skies in the whole country are right there in Great Basin, and that's what they're known for there. I'll talk about it again in a minute. Oh, Dale? Yeah, okay, sorry. Sorry, yeah, my fault. Did you have a question again?
No.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, these are the 7 stops. I would have to say one thing. Being a solar system ambassador, again, I get a lot of the bling and swag from them, and I like to take that with me. And so this trip, knowing that I was probably going to see a couple thousand people, I raised my hand and I said, "Hey, can you send me a load of stuff?" This is what happened. This big steak truck shows up at our house. Yeah, and with a lift truck. They had to take that with a lift truck and put it. Yeah, that was a lift truck. Had to put that in my garage. So, so we had enough stuff for a couple thousand people over the 5 weeks. And I believe it or not, I have a lot left over now. So I still have enough for future outings. But that was what we got. So our trip, this is it, 6,500 miles in total. It was 5 weeks, and as I mentioned, we could scale in this level because we're retired, and I know that other people might have to, to adjust that a bit. But you can do that accordingly. But you could see we started out here in Michigan, and our first stop was Bryce Canyon, and we were there for a few days, and we went on to California and Yosemite. That was stop number 2. Number 3 was Lassen Volcanic National Park. 4 was Redwood. 5, Crater Lake. 6, over to Great Basin. 7 was our stop at Dinosaur National Monument, and then the rest of the way home. But that was 6,500 miles. It was. So stop number 1, Bryce Canyon. Anybody here ever been there? Isn't it a beautiful place? It's just beautiful, isn't it? Yeah, it's just gorgeous. It's really a really beautiful place. Lorie and I have actually been there before, but the reason we wanted to go back this time was we had gone there a few years ago when they had a star festival, and they do a great job there. They have a really nice program at the Star Festival. And this, like I mentioned, this was over June 14th through the 17th. And interestingly enough, it's of course usually it's a new moon time, right? And a lot of the other parks are doing the same thing. Grand Canyon had their dark sky party the same time. So you in this case you had to choose one or the other if you wanted to do one. Not that far apart, they're Grand Canyon is just a little bit south of Bryce there, but they're both at simultaneous June 14th through the 17th. They'll probably do it again this year, and again it's right around the new moon in first part of June. But they had 500 attendees per night, and we had 20 astronomers out in the viewing field. There were scopes out there that were like 20 inches. There were all sizes. And here also, they had solar programs during the day. So if you had a solar scope or something that you wanted to bring out and do something during the day, you could do that too. And it was right by the visitor center. They plant the telescope right in front of the front door without getting in people's way, of course. But so you get 1,000 people walking by during the course of the day wanting to look at the sun. Yeah.
When you get 40 or 70 people, like, if they're all standing in line, look at one telescope.
Yeah.
They're bored. How do you deal with that?
So what they did, yeah. So the question was, when you have 70 people waiting in line to look through one telescope. How do you deal with that? So at the Bryce Festival, again, they had about 500 people a night that were coming through. They were very organized. They probably had 10 rangers, and they had the viewing field all fenced in or kind of roped or pylons around it, so you couldn't go into it except from one end of it. And they were guiding people with red lights on the sidewalk going a couple 100 feet down the pathway, and they'd line everybody up in there, and then there were rangers where they would release them about 20 at a time. Again, we had 20 telescopes in this target in the viewing field where we were at, and they would let 20 in at a time, and then they would take about 10 minutes talking to the people, kind of giving them that speech about don't put your hands on the telescopes, be respectful of the people that brought these things here, some of those kinds of things. And then they'd move from there to another ranger, and that ranger had a laser pointer, and so probably 2 or 3 10-minute stations they would go through before they were kind of released every 10 minutes in groups of 20 out into the observing field. And they could go anywhere in the field and into any of the 20 telescopes. And so it seemed to work fine. I mean, I would say kind of even like Astronomy at the Beach and some of the other ones where I've been in the past, and I probably had all night long 10 to 15 people waiting in line at the telescope, right? You might have, that would probably be the constant amount that you had, over the course of the evening. And I would say that's pretty close, wouldn't you, Lorie? Yeah. Okay. So different venue. The question is when we're the only telescope, how do we handle that? So the way we handle it, I have a unistellar telescope, and the unistellar allows you to have I can have up to 12 different phones, iPads, or cameras at the same time that it would broadcast out to. It has its own little hotspot. And what we would do is, rather than, because 70 people, I don't have room for 70, but what I do have room for is I can have a phone and an iPad and the telescope. So I have 3 different viewing things that I can do off of one telescope. And so what we would do is we would break this group of 70 up into 2 or 3 different lines. And Lorie or a ranger would be holding an iPad, somebody else would be holding a cell phone, and then I would maybe be the one manning the telescope, and they would come up and look through that. And we would look at, half a dozen objects over the course of the evening. And what I tried to do to make it equitable for everybody was that every time we looked at a different object, the line shifted. So that, some people, they want to be able to look through the lens in the telescope because they don't believe the other one, the other one is actually real, right? And so, yeah, it's exactly the same thing. It's just, it's just being, cast over to the phone or whatever. So I tried to change that every time I looked at a different thing. So everybody at one point or another got a chance to look at it actually through the lens in the telescope. But that's how we would do it with 70 people.
Did you always have like an actual ranger with you, or were you on your own sometimes?
We were on our own in Yosemite a couple of times. Yeah. I mean, he went out with us the first time just to make sure we weren't, crazy people or, he never, he just met us the day before, right? And so, yeah, well, I mean, we talked to him on the phone and interviewed and all that. So he got a little bit of a feel for us. And, and when we got there, I think he kind of said, well, you seem like you're knowledgeable, you're good people, you're good with the crowd or whatever too. And so he went out the first night, and after that, we were on our own. So Lorie and I did the whole thing. Yeah. And that was really, really fun and gratifying, and to see the people, smiles on their faces and having a good time and enjoying seeing the first things like this for the first time was just great. So Bryce Canyon, the hoodoos and the orange colors, and they're actually, believe it or not, it's a fairly high altitude. they're part of the what is called the Escalante Escarpment or something like that. And I believe it's up, in the 8,000 foot range. So you're up kind of high and you get some nice, clear, crisp, dark skies there. So it's really nice. And believe it or not, April 15th of this year, they earned their dark sky, uh, yeah, international dark sky status just this year, just what, a month ago, I guess, right? I mean,
I think it would have been before.
yeah, you would have thought. I don't know, maybe you had to petition for it and whatever, but there's probably a lot of places vying for these nowadays. I don't know if they're limiting them or not, but yeah, they just got it. So, and you can see it's Bryce Canyon it's in a place where I don't think people online are going to be able to see it, but yeah, okay, let's see. Yeah, so you can hear Bryce Canyon is down in the southwestern part of the state, but it's Utah in general. It's got 5 national parks there. It's a very rich place for being able to go and see a lot of interesting things. So you could line up a whole trip just around seeing those five different places. You've got Arches National Park right here. You've got Canyonland. You've got Capitol Reef. You've got Bryce Canyon. You've got Zion National Park. So those 5 are all pretty close to each other, and a whole trip could be spent just going around those 5 right there. And they're all similar in nature, but they're also very unique. The colors, the formations are all kind of very unique to each of them. Also, just south of here is where the Grand Canyon is, right here. So, like I said, we always like to refer to it as the Triple Crown. If you go to Bryce Canyon, Zion, and the Grand Canyon, you've kind of handled the Triple Crown of the big canyon fun places. Not to take anything away from the other ones, but those 3 are probably our favorites. But this area right here is very rich. If you didn't want to have to go anyplace else, you could do almost everything you wanted to right here. So this is Bryce Canyon. If you've never been there, isn't that just gorgeous? It's mostly sandstone, and it's wind and water that has carved all of these different formations and hoodoos. They have names for a lot of them, like the Queen or Wall Street, or they all have different things that they look like. So kind of fun, and lots of hiking. Go right down into the canyons. You can see people over here going down. That one there is a bit of a test. You got to stop a few times and put it that way. Typically, you don't. I mean, unless you're a marathon athlete of some. You go down this way and then swing around a few miles away and come up a more gradual slope. Yeah, if you're smart. I mean, isn't that amazing? I just find this to be so beautiful. And so this is the festival. They advertise this every night yeah, and in the visitor center, and this is a very popular park. It's so beautiful. A lot of people like to go there, right? And it's accessible. Not too far from big cities, that sort of thing. The flip chart on the right is from the Rangers. They actually, they got us all together. This is the parking lot. That's a picture of the parking lot, and we were in this area here, kind of this teardrop area where the 20 astronomers were. This long walkway over here was where I was telling you they teed up everybody along the red light and had cones along the way, and that's where probably a couple hundred people were lined up all night long.
And that's the main visitor center.
This is right next to the main visitor center. Matter of fact, they call this the overflow parking lot. This is the visitor center right over here in the main road, but visitor center's here, and that's for overflow. And so they blocked this off during the festival for just the astronomers to be out there in there. And then the people, they come through and they let them, like I said, they meter them through in about groups of 10 or 20 every 10, 15 minutes. And then they'll come down into the field wherever they want, go to any telescope and, kind of see lots of different things. And the other thing we were trying to do here is we would meet beforehand, and all the different astronomy folks would be saying, well, I'll look at the Whirlpool Galaxy tonight. You look at, M13. You look at, the different things. So they'd all have different objects they could look at in all the different scopes. Very similar to what we would probably be doing at some of our outreach sessions, right? But and here I am setting up. Again, the Unistellar for me it's got a couple different scopes, but that one is great for outreach. I really find it to be a really great scope for doing this sort of thing. It's really nice for people to see. And then you can see on the table on the left there is some of the NASA bling. That's the Ring Nebula, and I think there's the Orion Nebula, and maybe one other one there that we were handing out in addition to NASA stickers and that sort of thing. The two on the left are at the festival. The one on the right is we actually came back a second time. We went to Bryce on the way out on our journey, and then as we were coming back to Michigan, we came back again. And then that time, we were one of the few that were there, and that was more of we'll call it a regular, astronomy session, not a festival. And they had limits on that. I think they limited it to what, maybe about 50 people. Yeah, you had to sign up online. If you showed up and you didn't have a sticker, or they couldn't check your name off, you couldn't get in, because there were three of us. I was there, and there were two rangers that also had telescopes there too. And so between the three of us, we were working about 50 people. And this is right behind the visitor center. You can see it in the background there. But again, it was a lot of fun. And this one, we really didn't have to develop a lot of a program here, because other than just talking with the other rangers and saying, "Hey, what are you going to look at tonight? Here's what I'll point. I'll point at these two objects. You go after those ones." But a lot of fun to meet the rangers, work with them, and then see the people coming through. Stop number 2 is the Yosemite, and this one is where Lorie and I ran the program, and there were about 70 people per night. That was limited. This was one where they actually charged for it. We of course didn't get any of the money, didn't want any of the money. It all went back to the park and the conservancy, the Yosemite Conservancy. But we were full every night, 5 nights, 70 people, and I think they were charging what, $25 a person? Yeah, and they turned people away. There were people that were calling and, "Can I still get in?" No. They really wanted to limit it, and I'll show you why in just a second, because we did a little bit of hiking and all too. But if you're not familiar with Yosemite, this is kind of one of the places where Ansel Adams kind of popularized with some of his black and white photography, that sort of thing. When was that? Back in the early 1900s? Yeah. Yeah. So again, a beautiful place. I mean, is that a postcard or what? In this, it's hard to describe how beautiful this place is. A picture doesn't do it any justice. It's like trying to look at a picture of the Grand Canyon. It just doesn't do it justice. It's pretty, it's beautiful, but to be there and see this expanse like this, and can you even imagine doing an astronomy program with that as your backdrop? We got to do that for 5 days. So it was just beautiful, amazing.
Did you ever cancel it?
We did. There was a few where I think one of them in Yosemite, believe it or not, they were also having some fires. They were doing controlled burns, but wasn't there some of the fires coming down from Canada still?
Yeah.
No? Okay. They were trying to get rid of some of the underbrush, the stuff that would normally cause the fire to be more violent and everything. So a lot of times they'll gather all that stuff up, put it in a pile, and burn it, so that it won't be quite as violent a burn if it ever does catch. But they were doing some of that, and we had a couple of nights where it was a little bit, call it, smoky or foggy. Let's see, how are we doing time-wise? So this is where we stayed when the Yosemite Conservancy had about 300 acres there, and they gave us the key to the gate to get into this area, which is normally blocked off. And they said, go wherever you want. So, we were by ourselves in this just gorgeous place, almost like our own park in itself. And this is the kind of sunsets and the views that we had while we were there. So this is the start of one of the talks. We all met at one of the, believe it or not, one of the bus stop stations down in the valley. And we would have about 70 people, and we would walk about a half a mile to this venue on the right over here. And what the Rangers did was they put these giant, probably 20 by 20 tarps out. They put about 6 or 7 of them out, so everybody could come out and lay down on the ground or put a chair down, and that's where we started. And look at that, the waterfall in the background. I think it's the lower falls, and of course there's an upper falls too, but that falls is probably, what would you say, half mile away? But it was so noisy, I had to raise my voice for them to be able to hear me, even standing right next to them. That was kind of what it was like. The only downside to that was probably that we lost a little bit of horizon. You know, you kind of had to maybe be up at about 30 degrees or more and looking at things more directly overhead because of the mountains. But it's we'll take it. Well, we'll suffer through it. Yeah. Our next stop after there, we went up to Lassen Volcanic. Has anybody been to Lassen? A couple people. We, believe it or not, we couldn't get up there because it was snow, right? We were there at the end of June, and I'll show you some pictures in just a second, where we had snow that was like this deep. Yeah. So we wanted to do it. We're big hikers, and we were hoping to be able to do that, but even the road that they have going through the park was closed, and they opened it while we were there. And one day we got a ride from the Rangers from one side of the park to the other side to be able to participate in a astronomy event on the other side of the park, which is 25, 30 miles away. But yeah, we didn't get to do quite everything that we wanted to, because here at the end of June, it was still 6 feet of snow on the ground in some places up at the high altitudes. So, but Lassen Volcanic, it's a beautiful place, probably one of the lesser popular places than a lot of them, but it has some very unique, beautiful features, like the mountains, the volcanic features. They have these cinder cones that basically just a giant ash pile, and you can kind of climb up to. We did climb up to the top of a couple of those, which was really, really kind of fun and unique. We went into some of the lava tubes underground. Yeah. Moon. Yeah. Fascinating, these tubes that all the lava would go through when it was flowing. Some hiking and cycling. But here's some of the views there. A little bit different in terms of the the geology and all that from say Yosemite and the other places, but very unique and beautiful in its own right. And again, here's the advertising. This again, right in the visitor center, the Rangers put on the whiteboard there, for everybody that's coming into the visitor center, which is usually almost all the people coming to the park. They usually go there first. Here's what's going on today and in the evening tonight. And so this was another one where we had 70 people, and they limited it to that again and we were the only ones there. There wasn't anybody else helping us in this case. The Rangers were there, but we were doing the program. So yeah, it was a great place. There's the snow. So this road that we're on here, one of their vehicles, me on the right there in the passenger seat, and the road was closed. The general public couldn't get in it, but they took us across the park to the other side so that we could do a program that night on the other side of the park. This was June 28th through 30th. So they had that snow probably till the end of July. I want to say 10,000. I think up to the tops of the mountains there. Yeah. maybe 8, at the visitor center or something like that. But here I am. I got out of the truck and ran out on the road. There was big boulders that had rolled off the mountain into the road, so we couldn't get by. And I went out and picked them up and chucked them over the side there, so that we could drive the truck by. They fall off the cliff there from the melting and freezing of the ice and everything and snow. But yeah, and there I am setting up on the bottom right. So that one on the previous page at the bottom right, that was at one of the campgrounds, Manzanita Campground, which is on, I think, the western side of the park. And then this is over closer to the eastern side of the park at Kamiawani Visitor Center. And on the back there on the patio is where we did the program that night. We had 70 people that showed up for that. Our next stop was up at the Redwood National Parks. Anybody been there? Any comments? Knock you out, right? So yeah, the comment was one of the guests here said he remembers in the redwoods the acorns falling out of the tree from a couple hundred feet up and possibly hitting the tent or you, and yeah, it can hurt. So yeah, this is up in northwestern California, and again known primarily for their trees, but they're right on the coast also. I have lots of unique wildlife, and we did some hiking, camping. We didn't do any swimming or boating, but you can certain times of the year. Again, aren't those amazing? These are the largest living things on Earth. They're also some of the oldest. I don't know if they are the oldest, but some of them go back 2,000 years. I mean, birth of Christ. The tree was. Yeah. Are they? Yeah. So I know. I mean, these are up there. I didn't think they were the oldest, but I know they are the biggest. They are huge. These stories are 300 feet tall and 30 feet across. You can see with Lorie standing there, and I'm getting ready to walk inside of one where it's burned out down by the base there. That's how big those things are. It's just fascinating. We did have a little bit there, so that was a little bit more limiting in terms of observing. The question was, did you have a lot of fog or mist and stuff? And that's a very good point, because it is near the coastline, and you can get a lot of that kind of stuff happening quite often. Number 5 was Crater Lake in Oregon, Southwest Oregon. Anybody been there? I see a couple hands here. All right. So this one it was more of an informal visit. We didn't do much formalized, but again, isn't that just gorgeous? It's just hard to believe that's real, isn't it? If that isn't a postcard, I don't know what it is. But I think Lorie took these pictures. It's just, yeah, she's the photographer of the group here. Yeah, do you remember, Lorie, the chemistry of the water? I know in a lot of Mhm.
And then you add the snow to it.
Right.
So the water is very, very clean. It's very, very good.
Yeah. They don't allow you to actually go in and swim in it, I don't think, right? Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah, it sure is. I find that breathtaking though, that the picture there is just absolutely gorgeous. Here I am at night, in a parking lot not too far from the visitor center, and you can actually make out a little bit of the Um, Cassiopeia. See it right there? The skies are amazingly clear, dark, so great for observing. You're up here, you are up at altitude. Obviously, there was snow around the ring road. Part of that ring road was also closed. So it goes all the way around the outside. Um, Stop 6 was the Great Basin. And again, this was a more informal one, but because they have such a great program there, and it was great to just participate in this case. I brought my scope along. We did show a few of the rangers as well as the attendees, some of the views through our scope, but great place, known for the caves being very dark. Like I said, some of the darkest skies in the country, Bortle 1 skies. So if you ever really want to get that kind of dark skies, this is the place to go. Has anybody been to Great Basin? It's not one of those, it really isn't one of those more prominent places, especially off the beaten path a little bit more. So you typically go to those places that are near others, like in Utah or whatever. But very well known, and they have a great program, probably one of the best dark skies programs I've seen. On the left there is the Lehman Caves. That's kind of a fun place. But the amphitheater, you can see that they've built just for their astronomy. That's what this is all about. It's up on top of a hill. Yes, I was interesting you brought that up because we just came from there. I was just there this summer. But yeah, they have a very similar thing, just like this. They do talks. They have research scientists coming in from California and different places that will be talking. Maybe have a research scientist there for the summer. And the talk that the guy gave, I think he was from where was he from? Was he from Caltech? But his talk, this was a fascinating one. His talk was on sound in space. And so he was showing us how at Caltech and how at NASA they are able to either generate a sound based on something that the feedback they're getting or whatever. But it was all about the different sounds that you might hear in space. Fascinating. And I think that's available out on probably out on YouTube. Yeah. Completely different kind of talk than what I've ever heard before, and very fascinating. But they're a dark sky park for the obvious reason, as dark as it gets there. And here's some of their, they've got the lit pathways and very, very well put together. They've got a screen right next to the amphitheater for showing and talking, and yeah, it's just very well done. Good place to go if you like dark skies. That is all I have. No, I thought about doing that, and then we said, we didn't really do much. We didn't do any astronomy there, and thought, well, I mean, it's a fun place. I mean, I love fossils.
You didn't do an astronomy presentation?
Not at Dinosaur. Okay. Yeah, it was a fun stop. Yeah.
I was going to ask the question earlier before I saw that your list. Were you limited to national parks? Obviously, you did a couple of state parks for Michigan.
Yeah, yeah.
There's plenty of national monuments.
Oh, there are. Yeah.
Do they have the same sort of program?
Well, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, we're kind of on a mission, to check the box, right? And so there is a difference between a national park and a monument and a seashore and a forest, and there's only 63 national parks. Now they add one every once in a while. Cuyahoga Valley was one of the ones in the last 5 years, I think. And then what's the other one down in Georgia? New River Gorge, and then there's Congaree, I think. Right. I think it was the first, right? Teddy Roosevelt, I think.
In all your travels, did you ever stop by the Indian trader that there was happening to be?
We have not been there yet. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The bill was just this.
Wow. Yeah. Bob, did you have a question?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. This was our kind of dream. And, but I would say, again, I love doing this kind of stuff for state parks, for you name it. And again, they're all kind of will embrace you because of your knowledge and your ability to help entertain or their
Like there were 63 states for national parks. I had to do like I had like a outside of Atlanta, Georgia. Martin Luther King would have had like this, something like that. The national park.
that would probably be a national historic site or park. Right. Honestly, Sleeping Bear Dunes is not a national park. It's a national lake shore. Yeah. Yeah. The only one we have in Michigan is Isle Royal. The only one Ohio has is Cuyahoga Valley. Yes, we do. We do. Lorie's the keeper of that, and every time we go to a park, we get their stamp, and we usually it's like that's right. If you didn't get the stamp, you didn't actually go there, right? So that's right. Any other questions? I don't know if we got any online back here. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah.
I would think so. I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is no different than when you go to, like, your astronomy at the beach, and take a telescope there, somebody knocks over, grabs it, or whatever, it's on you.
Yeah.
So you're volunteering.
And that's what in some of the places, like the Rangers, before they even got close to the telescopes, here's the rules. The kind of the rules of, or the policies that we want you to follow. And, and it's, don't touch, listen to the astronomer or whatever, and they'll show you how to look through the scope and do all the things that you need to do without damaging it. Or in many cases, like I have a manual dot, right? So if you touch it, it's gonna help.
That never happened to me.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's see. Our next meeting, our next star party is going to be Saturday, May 25th. Our next board meeting is in a week and a half on May 27th. Our next general meeting is at Cranbrook on June 3rd. And afterwards, some of us are going to meet at the National Coney Island at Groesbeck and 12, about a half mile from here. Oh, yes, we did. You're right. We did. Okay, so I was wrong. The board meeting is on the 20th, not the 27th. So I did have that in there. You're right. Yeah, the board meeting via Zoom.
No, the start date open. Board meeting is on a Monday.
Yeah, the board meeting is on Monday. 20th. All right. So again, meet at the National. For those who would like to, meet at the National Coney Island at Groesbeck and 12, and that's it. Good night. Clear skies, everyone.